Hey guys, welcome to ANX Gamecast level 133. I'm Unbiased Ann. I'm here with Genesis and Ray. How's it going, guys?
What up?
What's going on, man?
I don't know.
It's been a minute.
It's been.
Has it been a minute?
A few.
6 months?
That's more than a minute.
Yeah.
How many minutes? Do the math. Quick,
All right,
quick.
So a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. Fake Tana's here.
Hey, Fake Tana.
I missed her. Say my name. Say my name. There you go.
Just
Do it
one time.
more
That's all you get.
Oh, I got it.
Anyway.
So,
It also only took a minute.
what are y'all excited to talk about today?
Ray?
Lots of stuff, actually. Right?
Okay, that's
Oh,
that's-
did
man,
that,
that's-
did that narrow it down for you?
man, that's very specific. I
And
know
I'm just letting
exactly
you
what Ray
know.
wants to talk about today. I think for me it's the conversation piece. Whenever we do ANX Gamecast over the past year, when we do them, we added this conversation round, and I'm always excited for the conversation.
I'm pumped.
Unbiased and
What you got?
I would say Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi?
Or Shang-Chi?
Whatever. I don't know, but that one.
I can't wait to talk about Sean.
Well, anyway, you want to talk about Sean? Well,
I want to talk about Sean and Aquafina. How about that?
Aquafina. All right, well, let's go and get into the show. I
The
think,
water?
Yes.
Oh, hey, that's perfect. I
just
didn't
saying.
even realize.
I was like, I thought that was planned, man.
No, they're not playing, but yeah, no, it was playing. But anyway, I think this is usually when I tell everybody to like, subscribe, and all that kind of good stuff. I'm gonna just jump in around one. How about that?
round
Like and
one.
subscribe.
All right, round one. The anime that we're currently watching, and I don't think it's all anime now. We weren't 100% prepared for the show. We were only like 85%, so it's not all anime. Unless you want to call What If anime, which I'm not prepared to
No.
do that at
No,
all.
I'm not yet. Good
So-
animation, yes, but
Yeah. So let me get into this. Record of Grancrest War. I think I was still watching this the last show we did. But now I've done obviously a bunch of episodes since our last show. So episodes 8 through 23. Record of Grancrest War is actually pretty dope. It's like medieval times. So they got spellcasters, they got swords, they got horseback, they got arrows, they got archers, boats, they got all that kind of good stuff.
tell me on the story. Story on.
See, the story is it's very fast paced, and it's really kind of basic. It's just like your normal, like, independent, I don't want to say warrior, but he's wandering around, and all of a sudden he's trying to unify the land. So
Okay.
he becomes the lord over this one section, and then he joins this alliance, and he gets demoted, and he goes to this fight and does this, and it's like every episode there's some kind of epic battle or meaningful progression to the overall story, but it's kind of too fast. And I'm thinking it's only too fast because I actually like the show. Like, if I didn't like the show, I'd be like, this is taking too long. But I feel like, I don't know how many total episodes they got, but I'm on episode 23, and I think they could have easily stretched this out, and it could have been 40 episodes. I could have been on episode 40 now.
That's good, though. But, I mean, it sounds like it's leaving you wanting more.
Yeah. And
Good.
the only reason I looked into it because there's an anime called The Record of Lodos War that came out 20 years ago. COVID, I don't know, math. So probably about
19 years ago?
maybe 20 plus years ago. I don't think it's related, but I just think that it's just this. It's kind of like how we have a show called ANX Versus and an ANX Weekly Update. They're not really related, but they are. So I don't think the story is related, but I think it's just made by the same people.
Gotcha.
So it is pretty dope. Recommend everybody check it out. It's on Netflix.
Check that out, man.
How many seasons?
Probably only one,
Oh, okay.
because anime is kind of weird like that. You do have like a series with episodes, but it's not a season. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like it's just one series and you have episodes, but then you have things that do have episodes, and they're not really seasons. They're like sagas, and I think they call them arcs now.
It's actually kind of like how they did seasons way back in the 50s and 60s. You would have what we would call 3 or 4 seasons, but they would have one season. It just happened to be 84 episodes.
Right. Yeah.
Same concept.
Yeah. So it's just like I'm not even sure. Like in Dragon Ball Z, I'm not even sure if sagas were a real thing or if it just became a thing. Like, oh, it was the saga when Vegeta came, and it became the Saiyan saga. or the Vegeta saga, or the Raditz saga, or Captain Ginyu saga. So I don't know. I don't know where it started, but it's not really a season thing because there are seasons in Dragon Ball Z that are only 6 episodes, like a whole saga that's only 6 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So
It's more of arc.
yeah, but I'm old school, so I don't know what arc is. So
Exactly what you're saying.
I know.
That story.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm not talking about.
I
I'm not talking
refuse.
about
know what
Noah's.
it is.
I refuse.
I was
though.
like, I'm not talking about Noah's arc.
I refuse. It's a saga. Anyway, what is this? This is not anime. These are real people.
And that's not new.
No. Okay, so basically what happened was I don't remember how this started, but we started watching Star Trek.
Mhm.
We started with Next Generation.
Always a good call.
Yeah. So we started he's seen all of them. I had not. And so we got through Next Generation, we got through Deep Space Nine, we got through Enterprise, we got through all the movies. I mean, not Enterprise, Voyager. We got through Voyager. We got through all, like, we're watching it basically how it came out.
Chronologically.
Yeah, chronologically. And anyway, so we're on first season of Enterprise and we're moving through that very quickly. I really like it. And I was like, the first episode, I was just like, I don't like this because I was still like, I tend to hold on to stuff. So it was hard for me to move from Next Generation to Deep Space Nine because I was like, I love Captain Picard, Data,
Have you started on Picard yet?
No, that's why
That's the whole reason we did this.
Okay, yeah, that's
because
how,
well, it was actually Discovery came out, and I don't know if it's good. I hadn't heard great things about it, but it was new Star Trek, and it's like, okay, I want to watch Star Trek. But then they announced Picard, and it was just like, okay, yeah, we gotta get up to speed. So
yeah, so we just started. We're just starting from the beginning, or not beginning. We're not watching the very first Star Trek. But
can't do that.
anyway, we're trying to move up so we can get to Picard.
So how far have you gotten on Enterprise?
We're first season, almost done.
Episode 16?
No, we're on like episode 20.
20? Hey, there we go.
So you've seen that hesitation with the transporters for the first time?
Oh yeah.
I love that take on it. It was very much a we don't know if this is gonna work. How about you get in there? No, I don't think so. It was very
Yeah, when I at first I was kind of like, I don't like this because everything seems old, even though they are on a starship. It's still like compared to watching Deep Space Nine and well, all the other ones.
well, even Generations where you have the hologram routes and everything.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is this?
I mean, generally speaking, I don't like Enterprise. It's kind of like there's a game right there. You see that one? Call of Duty World War II.
Call of Duty?
Yeah, it was that the first next gen Call of Duty that came out, previous gen, right? This is ANX Gamecast, so I gotta throw some games in here somewhere.
Oh, we'll get there.
So it went from like advanced warfare, whatever it was, futuristic, all this on the moon and stuff, and then you went back to like World War II. Like, it's like people didn't like that and they didn't want to play it, even though it had better graphics because it was the first one on the Xbox One X and the PS4, but they didn't want to go backwards. So people didn't really like it. So it's the same thing here. These had way better graphics than TNG and Deep Space Nine and Voyager. And it's widescreen formatting, so it's full screen as opposed to but I don't want to go back. Like, I don't want to go back to like crappy like spaceship that don't even have photon torpedoes, and they didn't even have the phase cannons on the ship.
It's much more. I mean, granted, Star Trek is always much more exploratory shows on doing, but this one definitely came out to the fears of being in that first batch of real explorers.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Enterprise, which I'll tell you right now, surprisingly enough, I still haven't actually finished the series.
I mean,
but I did appreciate. Yeah, I did appreciate what it was.
I can't figure out what I like about it. But I for some reason.
You haven't made that quantum leap yet?
No.
She don't know what you're talking about.
No, I know
this is one of the times where she doesn't know your 80s references.
No, but I know Scott Bakula was in that.
Yeah.
And it has something to do with time travel or whatever, right? Quantum leap.
Kinda.
Well, anyway, I can't really figure out what it is I like about this. I think it has to do with the fact that I never thought I'd like sci-fi until I started watching Star Trek, and I was like, oh, I like this. But I also feel like this is not, it doesn't feel like as sci-fi, and it doesn't feel like they're in crazy battles all the time.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
That's why I keep falling asleep on it.
So far. So we'll see.
I keep falling asleep. So I just keep talking, and then Archer with his monotone, you know. But I also think there's something to it that is a little bit more relatable. We kind of had the conversation. Like generally speaking, there's nothing super relatable about any of this, but this show is more relatable to things that are going on right now in real life than anything that's happening on Voyager or the Deep Space Nine or even TNG.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I'm not saying that Enterprise is around the corner, but we're closer to Enterprise than we are Voyager. So I think, you know.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself, man. I'm going to live forever. Footnote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is yours, but it's for all of us. What if?
The writing has gotten incredibly better for me in each passing episode. The first one was we explained it on our show.
What show?
What show is that, man? Is that Vagabond Nerds?
Vagabond Nerd?
Yeah, I think so.
Or Nerds?
Yes,
Vagabond
Nerds.
Nerd.
Nerds with an S.
Yes.
Oh, it's more than just you.
Yeah, I think, right?
You and some friends?
There's 3 nerds.
Friends is a big word, man.
Yeah, it is.
Jason,
That's
Sean,
a stretch.
Shout out.
Don't hit me.
Shout out.
No, but you know, as we were talking about, like the first episode was, you know, we explained it like this. The first episode is introductory. The second episode was very much it was almost like an in memoriam, the entire show, and so it was harder to watch, but very impactful. Very, for all intents and purposes, it was really light. It did have a conversational piece about what would have had someone who was a natural born leader, who had been grown to be a leader. What happens if they take over? The third one, even though it was a much more depressing matter, and the fact of basically eliminating the Avengers before they become the Avengers, it was a fun episode.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. It played a lot more to that. This last episode, this most recent episode, by far the darkest episode they've had.
Yeah.
And that one left you feeling all kinds of way afterward. It did not feel good. I mean, in the first 10 minutes, to see that kind of emotional impact and writing in the show, they just let it all hang out.
So there was 2 things about the last episode that I'll probably disagree with you on. And I said it in the comments on y'all's show. Is that I can't really get that emotionally attached to this show, because the show in nature at its roots is just a hypothetical show. So it has no impact on the main storyline, or if I'm going to see my favorite characters anymore because they died in What If, right? It's not going to impact what happens in the next Avengers movie on the big screen, right?
Yes or no, right? So the whole point is about it opening. Well, I mean, if Loki is about opening up the multiverse, this show is definitely the stories that happen in the multiverse. So while it doesn't impact what we'll call MCU proper, this is impacting those universes that have already been to the rest of us.
Yeah, and then the second thing is I've already seen this particular story, the one with Strange. There's an anime called Steins Gate, and it's pretty much the same exact concept where they learn how to time travel. And in the beginning, they time travel. He changed things. He didn't know that he was time traveling. He thought maybe he was having a deja vu moment or something from a dream. He saw someone get killed. This time he helped save her, but then that just throws everything into whack. That leads to one of his good friends dying, and then the whole show is about him going back in time over and over again, just like Strange did, to try to make sure that his friend does not die. So I've seen this before, so it was just like, oh, okay. I wasn't like, oh my God, I wonder what's going to happen next, or is he going to fix it, or is he going to be able to do it? I was just like, I've seen this before. So I was just like, I'm not saying it was bad. It's just like, I I can't necessarily say that I enjoyed this one any more or less than the other three.
I think for me, what it is, and it comes down to, is the fact that Marvel is showing some real brass ones here by allowing the story to end in its logical conclusion and not a happy end.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are real consequences that they set forth, which I don't feel really exist in the movies, with the exception, say, in
Because
we had permanent deaths.
Well, I mean, this was worse than Infinity War because he killed everybody.
Yeah,
But everyone died except him, as opposed to with Thanos, so he only killed half the people.
Yeah, I mean, it was
only half the
only half.
world.
I mean,
he only
traffic
killed-
was much better the next day.
Yeah, what? Or worse, because there was just cars just in the middle of the road.
You're right. But
at least for the first couple of years.
5 years later, though, I'm betting traffic was much better to deal with.
Yeah. But
Well, unless you're Hawkeye. Is that too soon? That's
Right.
probably too soon.
so this is a situation where I like the show because of the premise of the show. And I do like the fact that for the most part they got the actual actors to come in and do the voices.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the problems I've had with some of these Marvel games that they put out. I was like, y'all just missing the mark on a lot of this stuff. But generally speaking, there's a reason why I don't watch the DC and Marvel animations anymore. It's like I went away from that. Like once I got a hold of anime, like those products were just inferior to me, and I never went back. I still get a little bit of that Saturday morning cartoon feel in some of the scenes with this, and it's a little cheesy, it's a little corny, and I'm just like,
I certainly felt that with the first two.
I'm not feeling this part of it.
The first two, I will absolutely agree with you that it did have, and in fact, I think I said that about the very first one, that it did have that Saturday morning feel to it.
Yeah.
And even the writing on that first one felt
Because it was a lot of
lacking.
I didn't like
pow.
that first one.
It had some lacking moments in the writing. You could tell there were some forced script moments, dialogue, so it didn't really. It did have that Saturday morning feel, which is it's okay. There's something to be said for that too, right? I mean, it does kind of take you back to your childhood. The second one again, Chadwick Boseman played a lot into that. How you feel about it.
See, I think that storyline, just in general, I think I didn't like that one as much. Just the basic premise of it, I was just like, okay.
It's definitely different. I enjoyed it. Like again, by the time we get to the third one, though, it's fun, and you can tell that it's not necessarily a kid audience, but for sure as hell, when you step into episode 4, it is different. For those who haven't seen that particular anime, you know that there's something different. Again, the impact was much more felt, I think, for the general audience, because I think if you're the general audience and you're not used to watching stuff like this, but you're a Marvel fan, which we have seen with I know a lot of people personally that I talk to, they would never watch something like this, but because it's got Marvel slapped on it, they're paying attention to it, and they don't understand that cartoons can have, or I say cartoons, they don't understand that animation can have this kind of impact on the story, or this strong of a story.
And I'm not saying there aren't people like that, but actually I have a different opinion on that. I think there's too many things that Marvel is trying out this year, and I think it could backfire.
Yep.
And this is one of them. But this is one of them. And I think Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi, whatever his name is, and I'm not being racist. If you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's a little too much. It's too much for the average viewer.
I think we'll get there, and I don't disagree with you. I told the guys on the show, that's Vagabond Nerds,
with an S.
I told them that the fear I have with this and what Marvel is doing is what Marvel as a publisher did, which is, and they're doing it today too. Let's put out 1,000 different variants, and of the same book and the same story, and let's just see what sticks. And also all of our stuff is going to intertwine. So if you're reading X-Men, you got to read this. Reading Iron Man, it works better when you're in a story with Captain America.
I don't think that's a problem, because that's what they've been doing. Because that's what they've been doing for 10 years, and it's clearly worked.
But
so
you're going to hit a saturation point if we already have it.
I don't think so, because I think we had a off off the record, because I've been off the grid for 6 months, not doing no pod.
I mean, not my grid, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, it's been like, you're talking about 2 and 3 movies a year that are 2 hours each. I mean, come on. I mean, it'd be different if you were like putting out like a 3-hour movie every month,
or maybe a series on TV every month. I mean, you're going to start getting there.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think all the Avengers.
They have 8 events next year.
Right, but I don't necessarily think all the Avengers fans or movie fans are watching these shows.
No, I'd agree.
I know a bunch of like hardcore fans, comic book fans that are not watching the show.
I'd agree.
So the oversaturation. I mean more of how can I put this? The average fan can get behind Captain America because he looks like the average Joe, and he's not like a mutant with horns sticking out of his head. He's strong and he can run fast. Okay, I can get behind that. Shang-Chi, which I'm not gonna get into it, but it's but it's just like the average casual fan is not gonna. They're not gonna like that. It's too much.
I feel like I said that 2 or 3 years ago to you. I said I feel like Marvel's gonna. At least, I think I was we were just talking about Marvel at that point, not DC. But just generally speaking, I was like, I just feel like they're gonna run their course like here pretty soon, because this is just, there's so much.
No,
and you said back then, no, they're not.
Well, no, but again, that's 2 different conversations. I'm saying I'm bringing it back to the Battle Alita conversation. Battle Alita, I keep wanting to call it Battle Angel because that's what the anime was. Battle Angel on the big screen, live action, quote unquote. This girl with these big eyes, this CG girl with these roller skates for feet. Like, that's too much. That's too much too soon. Like, you got some people that are willing to, okay, I'll try this, right? I've been watching these Marvel movies. I'll try this. Nah, that's too much, man.
Is it?
It is.
But I mean, it's our generation who were fans of these. These are now the writers and creators of this.
But not to the point of $1 billion in box office sales. We are not the
everything's
fans.
gonna hit $1 billion though.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah. Like the people that are making these movies hit $1 billion in box office sales, even the DC stuff, are not the people who grew up watching Battle Angel. They might be that same age, but they were not watching Battle Angel.
It's a broader audience.
Yeah, they may have seen Pokemon, maybe the anime, maybe, but they weren't watching Battle Angel. So that's why I'm saying, like,
Donut shop down the street, man, made an awesome Pikachu and Pokeball donut.
What?
You didn't bring?
Dude, my son ate those up.
Don't bring those here.
Gone.
Bring one here.
I'm gonna have to bring you one. I was actually impressed by it.
All right, but anyway, so generally speaking, that's just my take on What If. It's a little Saturday morning cartoonish. Yes, the graphics are good. They're not bad. They're really good graphics, especially for DC or Marvel type animation. It's probably the best I've ever seen outside of Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Again,
but that's different.
The
right?
animation point on this, where they're in the car and they're driving, you can see the reflection of them in the car windows at night, how it would truly be, and still see behind the lights and everything else going past them. That, hats off to the animators of the show. They're putting some quality work.
So anybody who followed the Avengers and really feel like they know the Avengers like in and out and are a fan of that, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, for sure.
If you've only caught 1 or 2, if you've only seen the Black Panther, this is not the show for you, because you're not gonna.
I don't think they would understand it.
Right, you're not gonna know what's going on, right? Because you're not gonna understand the what if. You're not gonna understand what actually happened versus what could have happened. But I do want to see more of the Watcher.
I will say, though, I do agree. This last episode was far better than any others. I mean, I have seen this storyline, something similar to this. I think it was like a 90s movie, Sliding Doors, with Gwyneth Paltrow.
I was going to go with the Butterfly Effect. With
that's such a great movie.
Ashton there.
But the basis was, though, like, no matter what direction it splits the movie into like two stories, one where this happened and one where this happened, and at the end it was the same outcome. Anyway, so I had an idea of what was going on, but I still thought it was really good. I did. It was over excuse me, way faster than I expected. I was like, it's already over.
And the voice acting was good. Voice acting was strong.
Yeah.
And it just threw me off when the girl's name was Christine because
Kept thinking of the car from
n-
Steven.
no, because I'm not
He's
that
never
old.
seen that.
Never
He doesn't
seen that
watch
movie.
old movies.
Because the one of the main characters in Steins Gate,
Oh yeah, Christina.
her name wasn't Christina, but he kept calling
Oh,
her
yeah, yeah,
Christina
yeah.
because he's stupid. So
Oh, that is funny. I
Well,
didn't even think about
That
it.
is still the name of the lady in first
Right,
right.
movie.
Movie, yeah.
So
Mhm.
but I get where you're
y'all ready for round 2? I'm ready for round 2.
round 2,
Yes.
man.
Round 2.
Console Wars.
Man.
Console Wars.
Ugh.
But not just console war. We're not gonna sit up here and necessarily debate which system is better. That's not what's about to happen
That's
right
right,
now.
because I mean the PS5. But go ahead.
It's clear, far superior. This all stemmed from me having conversations on Facebook. And before you go there, it's like, why are you arguing with people on the internet? These are people I know. Either I know them personally, I've met them, they've been to my house, or friends of theirs, or blah, blah, blah. These are not just random people on
They're
the internet.
trolls.
They are trolls, but
not in the sense of
Right.
random trolls.
right. These people actually have profile pics and things of that nature. So
But you're not getting on GameStop's page and arguing with random people. That you don't
Nah,
even know.
I ain't got time for that.
Right.
So basically, what had happened was, some debate started coming up. What I noticed about this particular Facebook group page that I was invited to, is just like everything is promoting Xbox all the time, and Xbox is the greatest thing ever, right? And anything that they ever post about PS5 was just something negative that happened. So I decided to jump in, and there was a post about the head of Microsoft talking about changing their controllers.
Yeah, because they recognize, and I'm sorry, it is being recognized of their competitor that their controller is superior.
It's not even close. The PS5 controller compared to the Xbox Series X controller is not even. Actually, I prefer the Xbox One X controller, default controller, over the Series X controller. Like, it actually took a few steps down from where it was before, and PS5 just killed it. Like,
Especially on some of the games with the interactive features.
man, what?
We're not even just talking about just the vibration of it or anything else like that, or just the actual use of the controller. If I'm playing Madden and I can hear my call plays, not in my speakers, but coming from my controller, because it's trying to treat me like I'm right there, they've done some work and thought process into that.
Yep, the
Feedback,
the feedback, and my built-in microphone. Like, what? Okay. Anyway, again, this is not a console wars conversation. So anyway, we go back and forth about the controllers, me and these people, and basically they point out.
You mean these people?
These people, you people. But and what happened at the end of the day is someone made a comment that, well, can you explain to me why the PS5 controller is better? Because the only thing that I have read is that they've added all of these features that are just fancy bells and whistles, which are cool if you like fancy bells and whistles. So through all of that comment, the main thing I took is red.
Feel like you don't know.
So
You haven't played it.
And then he made another comment later, which indicated you don't even own a PS5. I know some of the other people that I was debating with, I know they don't own a PS5. And so I just had to take a step back, and I was just like, I'm debating with fanboys that would never call themselves that because they don't think they're fanboys. They think they're actually playing the superior product. My problem is, what does it say? Who was eligible to fight in the console wars? You don't own a PS5. You don't have
an opinion.
You don't have an opinion. So that's really what I want to get to. The whole concept of everybody's entitled and everybody has a right to their own opinion. And it's like, no, you don't.
Unless you have spent time. I'll go a step further. You don't have to own it, but you got to show me that you've actually spent time with the device where you can sit there and say, okay, I spent a day, I spent a few hours. Give me that. I spent a few hours with it. It's not for me. Let me tell you my problems that I have with this, and you can come back and say that. And then you will have a valid statement. if you've never touched the other gaming system, never played the other console, your opinion's invalid. It can still be your opinion. You can have it all you want. But don't jump me for having both of them.
But you can't have it because technically there's no possible way you can have an opinion about something that
opinions and assholes, man. Everyone's got them, right?
Right. So, but my thing is more about the usage of everyone is entitled and right. They have the right to their own opinion. No, that's some nonsense that came from like a law or an act, Human Rights Act, that has to do with your involvement with the government. It doesn't have anything to do with everyday life, but people apply this stuff to everyday things and think like I could just say everybody's entitled to their opinion, so I can have mine and we can agree to disagree. No,
I go that next step. I say you can have your opinion, but it's going to be invalid to me if you've not actually done any of the work to it.
I'm just gonna come out and say you can't have an opinion.
You don't get to have
like that's the hot take for today. Like, a lot of times the console wars, there isn't really no war because there's people on both sides who have never even played the other system.
But and what I like most about it too is that when you look at the actual Nintendo, whether it's Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, all three of those guys, you know what they do? They talk to each other. All three of those companies talk to each other. They all have a respect for what
they don't all play with each other.
They don't all do that.
But they all talk.
They all talk and they understand, and they are starting to really show that respect to one another of what we know. Like, no one's going to sit there and argue that they've got a great handheld system over Nintendo. Not right now, right? Like until something comes out, until I'm looking at you, Steam Deck, until that comes out, there's not really going to be that argument of is this better or not.
Now, but I think you can make an argument and ask if the Vita was better than the DS XL or whatever was out at the time.
You got to compare those apples to apples.
But there's no competition today against the Switch.
Right. And with Sony and Xbox, yes, they are the two big household names. But again, if you have no experience with one or the other, your argument's not. What is it? It's you talking to the wind because you have no experience.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Nothing with it because you don't know. I have not said anything about the Xbox X because I just now recently got it. I haven't had a chance to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to you about PS5 all day long. I will tell you the differences between that PS5 and the Xbox, or the PS4 and the Xbox One. I have them. I've spent time with them. I don't know anything about the Xbox X. I will, and when I do, then I can sit there and be like, yeah, I feel like this is a much better system if I'm on the 5. I don't know the answer to that. I have an idea, but we test it.
And it's not just Xbox versus PlayStation. I mean, it goes across the board. Like, a lot of people, they want to argue with me about what's better, PC or PS5. Again, they don't have a PS5. They have a PC. I don't know what kind of PC you have, but Ray, you know what kind of PC we have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you don't have you don't, like I said, I don't want to come off sounding like any kind of way. But again, so I'll just leave it as, if you don't own systems, you cannot have an opinion on them. You can have an opinion about how it looks. Maybe.
I have no problem with someone saying that it looks like a mini fridge
right
all day long, because that's what it looks like. Just like, the PS5 looks like an absolute great internet hub.
Well,
or whatever.
They can have an opinion. Do you think they could have an opinion just saying at least that I've only played it one time for a couple of hours and this is what I
don't. Ray's being nice, but I don't. I don't think you can get because it's going to also depend on what game you played. What were you doing? What features were you using? Did you try out the media?
Is it the same game that's available on the other console? If it's
is it exclusive? Like, it's which, I mean, there are no exclusives for Xbox, but this is not a console war.
Yeah.
This is not what we're talking about.
It goes back into the fact that I will listen to it better. I would, if like, well, I've spent a few hours playing with this, to me, it kind of felt like this. It was, if that individual has enough of an informed opinion on whether or not they're going to purchase that system, because these things aren't cheap. Like, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They're not cheap. They're hard to find. You are going to have to unfortunately pick a side. We're fortunate, both Genesis and I and you, that we can test multiple systems out, own multiple systems. And I'm grateful for that fact. So I do have an opinion on each one of the systems, and I know which one I go to the most. Right now, it's my PS5. When it's the Xbox One or the PS4, it's still the PS4. You know, now,
in the beginning, it was the Xbox One. In the beginning.
Yeah.
But then towards the end, PlayStation started kicking ass.
Yeah, and just game after game after game, and good on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I don't like my Xbox
Because the
One.
PS3 was trash. And that's the thing that people want to call me like some Sony fanboy. But it's like, no, the PS3 was trash and the PS4 was not great up until just a few years ago.
The PS3 had its problems. If you're looking at it in the scale of just Sony, right? The PS1, the PS2, then the 4, and now the 5. 3 had its moments, but it had a lot of issues.
Yeah,
A lot of issues. And that's coming from a Sony fan, if you call me that. But I think that if at the very minimum, if someone has had time with it, your point, then they can, to me, right? I know how Genesis feels. To me, I have your opinion. You can have your opinion because you've at least spent that time with that system, something that you like, with a controller. You've had time to kind of feel. If you've spent 5 minutes on either one, I don't. That's an opinion that's worth gathering.
no.
But if you spend a couple hours on it, to your point, yeah.
Well, okay. How about
I think
this?
you've got a little bit of
how about
logic
this?
behind it.
How about this? You would have at least needed to beat one game on the system. How about that? You beat a game.
I don't even think you have to beat it. I think as long as again you
Well,
spend
I'm just
quality
saying.
time.
Well,
With it.
that's how you know you spent quality time for sure because you beat a game.
Oh, there's a ton of games I haven't beaten right now.
But yeah, but what if somebody's not good? They can't beat the game, but they
Then
played
you don't
it
need to
for
have
a
a system
long
anyway.
Well,
time.
but you own the system, right? So it doesn't matter if you beat a game or not.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? Because you own it. So it's just like, okay, then you get your opinion.
Oh, you're
'cause
talking about people who don't own it.
people who don't
but-
own the system, but somehow you played on your friend's system enough to where you have beaten a full game. Okay, I feel like that's okay.
I again, right? Like you're coming down a bit, right, from your initial stance. I would go that step further, and again, say if you've shown, I'll tell you what, I'll even give you a mark. If you've shown 4 solid hours being in a game, I'm gonna listen to your opinion. May not agree with it, and I may sit there and say, that's great. I understand where you're coming from, but really you need to play this, and this, kind of get that feel for it. And if you then decide, well, I don't want to do that, okay, well then that's your call. But to not have touched the controller, to not have seen any screens or any games or not done anything,
or just watch somebody else play.
just I don't even think that's fair.
No, I agree.
Because, you know, it's like you just don't bring it to the table. Like,
Yeah.
don't sit there and tell me
Like
about
you don't even
how the controller is when you've never touched it.
you don't deserve a seat at the table.
You really don't. Not in that case. Not if you haven't spent any time with it.
I feel like there are different tables. I'm not saying any table is better. I'm just saying there's different tables, and you just need to stay in your lane. Period.
Yeah, if you haven't actually done anything with it, to sit there and just be a troll for being a troll's sake, that's all you're up to.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it doesn't look. It seems like on there, it looks like I'm the troll because everyone else on there are Xbox fanboys. It's not an Xbox group.
Yeah,
it's
a gaming group.
just a gaming group. So it's like y'all need to rename this to Xbox trolls or whatever. But the other comment that I made that kind of ticked some people off because they don't believe me. This is my first time being able to do this on air. Is I say my PlayStation 5 stays on most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I never play my Series X. It only gets used by my wife to watch Gilmore Girls in the mornings.
I was like, did you have to mention the name? Like, you could have just said it gets used by my wife to watch Netflix.
But
No, what's why you hating on Gilmore Girls?
I love Gilmore Girls,
you
but
go.
I'm like, you ain't gotta put me out like that.
but they didn't
Sell me out.
But they didn't believe me. They're saying that I'm just being a troll, or I'm just being.
Well,
it's like
the irony of calling someone a troll while they themselves are being a troll,
right.
is pretty common.
So just to set the record straight, is this true? Do I play the Series X?
No.
Do
Never.
you use it to watch Gilmore Girls in the mornings?
I use it to watch Netflix, and Gilmore Girls is included, but I watch other things too.
So, true or false, you use the Series X more to watch Gilmore Girls than I actually use it to play games.
I don't remember the last time I saw you play a game on Xbox.
Here now,
Like for months and months and months. I cannot even remember.
now I'm gonna feed the trolls, but I'm sure none of this was scripted.
It wasn't.
No.
This was not scripted.
Now, we've had this talk many a time, and we can have these conversations. The systems that
Mm-hmm.
I know you're feeling about the Xbox, and even with that, someone I trust when I games, I still went ahead and thought I'm gonna try to find it out for my own. And you warned me against it, and I would just wait. And my whole thing, like I told you, I was like, there's gonna be a couple of games coming up. I know I want. I want to play them on this, so I'm gonna go ahead and rather than wait for the holidays and definitely have a much harder ass time trying to obtain one, I'm gonna get it now. Have the opportunity to get it now, I'm gonna get it. But my PS5 when I got home the first day, guess what? That thing was out of the box, hooked up within 30 minutes, and was already downloading whatever I needed to download so I could start playing as soon as I could.
I think I even asked you, didn't I say something like, yeah, but you haven't played a game that you would, because you play certain games on Xbox typically,
Mm-hmm.
and you play certain games on PlayStation. I think didn't I even say to you something like, because you were talking about how much you didn't like it, and I was like, but are you just not playing a game that you would typically play on Xbox?
Well, I play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So to your point, actually, I was more excited to come home because I got both systems day one.
You did.
And they came out within a day of each other or two. One came out on a
One was like on a
Thursday and
the
one
other
was a Friday.
Yeah.
So I literally got them day one, both systems. I was more excited to come home, hook up the Series X, put in Call of Duty whenever it came out versus Miles Morales. And not that Call of Duty isn't exclusive, but I play my first person shooters on Xbox because of the controller, believe it or not. And it did not work. It would boot me out of games within 2 minutes of it starting. I couldn't play online. So it kind of forced me to just play the PlayStation because it wasn't even working correctly.
And before someone jumps on the whole, well, maybe you need to check your connection. This is a solid connection here. Like, that's not going to be an argument for anything. And you came out with the disappointment of that first day experience. Whereas with me, to your point, I had the PlayStation. I was playing Miles within a couple hours, right? And enjoying it. It's been 24 hours with this Xbox X. It's in the box. I don't know if I'm going to have it taken out today because I've got some new games for the PS5 that I want to play. I'm glad at the fact that I have it, but I'm not doing what I did with the.
I mean, right now, and they're talking about Halo coming out a year late, and when it does come out, it's going to be incomplete.
And I'm not even a Halo fan.
I'm not a Halo fan either, but I buy them every time they come out because I'm assuming quality.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with Gears. But there is no Gears to play. There is no Halo to play. I think Forza might have just came out today, maybe.
I think it's this month. I don't even know.
I don't know. I saw an alert.
One of the games I
saw an alert.
That is a reason why I got it.
So I think I might go ahead and finish off Ghost of Tsushima PS5 upgrade off the chain. Everybody go buy it.
Beautiful game.
I'm not going to play 2K22.
What?
No, I'm going to get it. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it like I did last season. Like, I'm done. I'm burnt out.
This is where both Sean and Jason would be coming at me if I'm saying the same thing. Be like, oh, I'm just going to get it. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah, look at you just getting it to get it and blah, blah, blah.
Well, Dirk's on the cover. So I'm getting it because Dirk's on the cover. And then Luca's on the other cover.
Okay, I was about to say, why are you getting it if you're not going to play it?
Dirk's on the cover.
I got Kobe's. I've only played the NBA.
Yeah.
He's played it hardcore.
Yeah, I played it all season. And then I guess if Forza came out, maybe I'll boot up the Series X and try it out.
And that is one of the reasons. That and Fables are my two main reasons for the Xbox.
I hope this new Fable is how Fable was supposed to be when it came out. I'm not saying Fable was a bad game, but when they first announced Fable, I think I was like maybe 99. I was in high school. Like they talked about like all the age progression and like all this different thing that you could do. Like if you worked out or if you ran, or if you just, I think they tried to even do it with a GTA. If they can do it that way, cool. But anyway, this is not what we're supposed to be talking about. I think we hammered the point home.
Shut up. Bottom line.
Shut up, trolls. If you don't own the system, don't have a conversation with me. I'm not trying to say I'm better than you or anything like that. That's not where I'm coming with this.
That's me.
That's
me.
Ray.
I'm better than you.
But if you got both systems and you legitimately think that the Series X is better, then let's have a conversation. But if you don't own one or the other, even the other way, if you own a PS5 but don't own a Series X, I don't want to hear from you either.
Period.
When it comes to this.
Yeah.
When it comes to this particular console war debate, I don't want to hear from you either. Like, you don't have a seat at this table either. So it's not just a one-sided thing here.
It is not something that we mess around with, having known you now for a moment. Or this is an argument I wouldn't get into. And we've talked about that before. The Xbox, and I'm like, I don't have it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't tell you. Again, glad I was able to get one because I know it's tough.
Yeah.
But I'm not excited. There was no driving excitement to get that thing out of the box right away.
Mm-mm.
Again, still sitting at the house right now.
Yep. But you prefer the Series X, right?
Right. But of course, I don't play games.
Oh, well. Gilmore.
But I like watching Netflix and Peacock and
He's
Hulu.
really, he's really coming hard on that Gilmore Girls.
I know.
That sounded wrong, but I don't care.
I know. I'm like, why do you keep having to point out Gilmore Girls? I watch
What's wrong with Gilmore Girls?
nothing, but I watch a ton of stuff.
But I'm just saying, for the most part, I would get up, I would clean the stuff out of my eyes, and I would look up, and there would be Gilmore Girls on the TV, and the Xbox would be on. I even took a picture, and guess what? I posted it for the trolls, and guess what? They shut up. It's like, here's a picture of what I'm talking about.
You could pull up and see, because it shows you like on Netflix, like what is it, like start watching again, like it has the stuff you just recently watched, and there's only like 3 shows. It's like Star Trek, Gilmore Girls, and New Girl.
There you go.
A lot of girls.
Yeah.
So anyway, y'all ready to get to this, man? This is running long.
That was just round 2, man.
That was just round 2.
Yeah.
This is running long, but this is what happens when you ain't done a show in 6 months. You got a lot to say.
You got a lot to say.
Well, let's go ahead and get into round 3.
Round 3.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
So my boy Sean here, and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh,
I
man.
almost want to start with the ratings first on this, and then get into the story as opposed to doing it backwards. But yeah, your show, I'm a guest here, so let me know how.
We can do that.
All right. So what's your rating?
What's yours? I already know yours because you told me.
Yeah, I did tell you.
Because you can't save it for the show.
Dude, I've been waiting to talk about this. I talked a little bit about it with Jason. I told him it's between a 6 and a 7. 6.5 is where I'm going to fall just because of the spot. It's an enjoyable movie, but it's got problems. To me, it has problems.
Yeah, I mean, I'm around that range. I would probably say a 7. If I would have actually, so this is going to be the first time, just full transparency. Let's break down the fourth wall. This is probably the first time in a long time or ever that I'm doing a review without actually scoring it. Like I normally would actually go through and score each section. I think if I were to actually score it, it would be closer to an 8 just because of the graphics. Right. And that's just a part of the scoring. So the graphics kind of boost up the score. Right. But generally speaking, just off the top of the dome, yeah, it would have to be like a 7 or something like that.
I'd say 7.5.
Hey.
7.5?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I agree. But to me, that's still not that good.
No.
What number do you have to hit for watchability, rewatchability?
You just have to be like a 9 or
I'm-
higher.
I don't. It's not really a number for me.
More of a feeling?
It's just like a thing. Like, for example, I don't know what I would have rated the Black Widow. Maybe like a 8 or something. Maybe 8.5. I don't know. 8.5. But I would rewatch it just to see the sister tell the jokes about the pockets.
To land it.
Like it doesn't even have, and it doesn't even have to be a 9 or a 10 for that movie. But I would rewatch it just to see her jokes about the pockets because it was funny. And
Yeah.
it just, what happened was it kind of just blindsided me. I wasn't expecting jokes about pockets. And then I don't want to say that I missed it, but like I feel like I didn't absorb it all like I needed to.
I liked her.
So,
I like that.
yeah.
Actress.
So me with rewatchability, it's less about a score and just more about, you know, like the end scene on Endgame, the last battle. Like I would watch that over and over. There's so much to see. You watch it again, you might catch something else or some other character in the background that maybe you didn't see doing something. So it's not score. It's just and then it just depends on how the movie is set up. If it's one of those big aha moments, then it's like, oh, well, I already know the aha moment. Like I already know the big twist at the end. So it's like,
Marvel's third act issues really shined in this movie.
So wait, can we, one second.
You tripping already?
Wait, 1 second. What is the deal with this movie in Marvel? Because it's different. It's not the same as like the way it's presented. It says like Marvel inspired, but it didn't have the start with the Marvel.
Yeah, it did.
Yes, it did.
It did?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Never mind. I'm tripping.
No, it did. It did.
Okay.
Yeah, I had all that.
Yeah, it's okay. Marvel's known for a couple things, and some of their weaker movies. I'm not gonna say bad movies, because while they do have a couple of ones good and they borderline on bad, it's not. Here, I'm gonna be completely unbiased with this. It's not the DC issue, right? But they do have a problem with the fact of you had a beautiful written story. Spoilers, right? 3, 2, and 1 about.
Wait.
He's got to push the button.
Snap.
You had a really beautiful story about family and father and a son. And you set this entire movie up to be about that. So that when the father and son are at, that would have been a beautiful end to the third arc. And instead, you went into this full CGI fest with 2 dragons that felt tacked on at the end of the story.
No, I think you're missing the mark here. That yes, they did have that. They could have went down that road, but this is just an origin story. Period.
Oh, I agree.
Like
and
period. Like that's all it really was. So it wasn't supposed to be this like family and tragic and then death.
You could have had a beautiful story and included the end piece, the end scene, with Wong and everything, and they're trying to tell him like, hey, look, when you activated these rings, it sent something. You could have had all of that. The dragons felt out of place. And I'm not talking about how they looked. I'm not talking about how the scene played out, because that was, to your point, that was beautifully done, right? But from a story standpoint, I'm sorry, there was really no need for that. There was no need to have that. If you had had that story stick just to him and the father going at it, and whatever tragic ending happens, that would have been more impactful, because we could already see that was going to absolutely, like with the daughter ending up taking over the 10 Rings organization, those all would have flowed better. The dragons at the end, like that felt hollow. That felt tacked on to me. And so it just didn't hit the mark.
So here's the difference for me. I think generally speaking, the movie did not hit. It missed. Right. Generally speaking, the movie missed.
You must mean the comedy.
No, the whole movie, but the whole thing with the 2 dragons at the end, I don't know anything about Shang-Chi at all, and I don't know anything about a short hair Mandarin with rings on his arms. I know about a long hair Mandarin with rings on his fingers, right? So I don't know anything about short hair Mandarin with rings on his arms. I don't know anything about dragons. I don't know anything about Shang-Chi, right? So for me, not knowing anything about this character, I thought that's just how this is supposed to be. I didn't like it because I didn't like the fact of this tiny little man and these tiny little people trying to fight this big dragon. Will I like him in a future Avenger movie fighting, someone.
The actor was great. I liked him. I
don't know about great. That's a
Fair
strong
enough.
word.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a strong word. The acting was the acting for him was his weakest part. Everything else was fine. He had the look, he had the moves, and the acting was the weakest part for him. And we'll get to the acting in a minute, but I'm down to see him and his 10 rings fighting in a civil war against some more Avengers, Dark Avengers, maybe some people his size. but to see him barely hanging on to that dragon while he's fighting an even bigger dragon, it just looked ridiculous. And that ties into what I was saying earlier about this is too much for your average casual Marvel fan that are pushing these movies to make $1 billion and $2 billion. That's too much. I don't think the average casual fan is ready for dragons fighting. Like, I don't think that's what they're signing up for.
If the movie had started and if the drive for the movie was about this, that would have made a little bit more sense to me.
The dragons?
Yeah, if that had been from the very first, but it really wasn't. Mm-hmm. What we learned from the very first was the age of this, for lack of a better term, just non-dying being, right? Being his father and him falling in love with his mom. And, that story, if that had been the story that started and stayed for acts 1 and 2, by the way, like that was what we were told, and this is where it was going. Then act 3, having that story continue with just them would have been perfect. But instead, act 3 adds this mystical element that to this point, outside of the rings and outside of the mom, no point in there.
Well, the point was that you had to have a villain,
but you had the villain.
You didn't have a villain.
No, you did have the villain.
No, the dad was not the villain.
A good villain is someone that you can sympathize with, and you can see his point. And the father had his point. The father had gone to the point to where
I don't know where you got the definition from. A good villain is someone you can sympathize with.
Someone that you can see their point. Maybe not sympathize, but you can definitely empathize. You can see why they're doing what they're doing. When you
you mean good villain like he was like a good person, but he's the villain, or you mean good like?
I mean good. I mean good as in a good villain as in the fact that it is their motives are clear.
But my point is he was not the villain. Period. He was not the.
But he
kind of seemed like the villain.
You spent 2 acts building that. You spend the first act with his son trying to run away, trying to get away from what his father had become. You have the second act with his sister and the fact that she was treated wrong by him and everything else. You had set the premise of it for him to be the villain.
When he showed up at the club or whatever she had, the fight arena, the UFC thing she had going on,
starting to go into the third act. Go ahead.
Well, when he showed up there and just said, "All right, let's go home." Like there was no villainous presence there.
But
at all.
No, at that moment, no. Except the fact that y'all just tried to kill us. You and your crew just tried to kill us.
No, he didn't try to kill. They just wanted to come take the stones away. He wasn't trying to kill them.
No, and the fact. No,
but they're on a ledge. Like they could.
All you had to do was give the stone, and everybody would have went away. They came for the stone.
Okay. Regardless of
the daughter was already in fear at the point that he showed up at the club.
So,
right?
So have you never been scared of your parents?
Okay, hold on.
Does that make them villains?
No.
No.
Okay, so maybe not at that moment, but when it got to the point where he's like, "I'm gonna burn the whole village down
to get to my wife."
Right, but then you got people like, but he's got his goons. And then you show up at this. I get what you're saying. Like he sincerely thought his wife was being held there.
Right.
I get it.
So that's not a villainous action.
Well, it kind of comes
to
across
kill the village of innocents to get to his wife.
No, but because they're not innocent, because they're holding my wife there against her will. I hear her. She's telling me to come save her.
The son and the daughter had both looked at him at that point and had said, "No, that's the wrong way to go about it."
They don't know nothing. He parks cars for a living. What do you know, son? I've been alive for 1,000 years, bruh. I know what I'm talking about. They holding her. I'm gonna go get her. If they get in my way, I'm gonna burn them down.
I still feel like he was still viewed as the villain.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're saying.
I think there was a misdirection that happened at the end of the movie where they led the whole movie leading you to believe he was the villain, but then at the end of the day, you realize he was not, and then you
that's
fight
fair.
the dragons.
Yes, at the end you realize this is really sad. He really believes this. But I get it. I definitely felt for the guy. But the whole movie leading up, you're under the impression that this is he's kind of a bad guy.
So then what you're saying is it's got a bad twist ending then.
It just had a twist ending.
A bad twist ending.
But what I'm saying is, you said there was no reason for the dragons. I said you had to have a villain for people to fight.
And what I'm telling you though was the
He was
father
not the-
the
he was
father
not the villain.
absolutely was the villain.
He was not the villain.
The whole movie started off with the
No.
premise of the fact that
I'm saying
he was,
at the end of the movie, he was not the villain.
At the very
at the
end.
very end.
No, and you still had to have an end villain. You still had to have an end
Why?
fight scene.
No, you didn't.
No, you can't
had,
just.
You
can't
had
just,
the end fight
no, you
scene
can't
with
just
him
turn
and his father.
No, you can't just turn it off right there. That's
sure
not.
you can.
That's
No,
not,
I'm not saying turn it off. Do not get me wrong. I am not saying to turn off the fight scene between him and the father, or even the village.
No, I'm saying after that. I'm saying after they fought, and spoiler alert. Spoilers.
What I'm saying is that whole third act, you can get rid of the dragons, write more of a fight scene between him, the villages, and him and his dad, and that's stronger.
So here's what I don't do on our show. I don't rewrite stories on what they should have done and what they could have done. I'm just looking at what they did do. You said there was no point of the dragons. I said
not.
in this bad movie, the point of the dragons were that you had to have a villain at the end of the movie. That's all I'm saying.
You're right, but what I'm saying,
you saying they could have done this, and that's fine. They could have done a lot. They could have just not made the movie.
You're right.
And I think we would have been okay.
But what I am saying, and I think you agree with me, right, Annie, is the fact that when you spend 2 acts building up this fight and this scene that's torn between a father and his kids, and you have set up this fear, and you've gone as far as imprisoning the kids in the movie, the villain is clear. Or at least you've made the villain clear.
Right. The way they wrote the story.
Yeah, the way it's written is the father was the villain.
But you are conveniently leaving out all the scenes where he was just sitting there hearing voices and looking kind of confused and looking sad and looking at all that. You're forgetting all of that and just, he put him in jail, so he's the villain. But what about the fact that he's clearly had issues? He's hearing voices. He thinks his wife is being held. Like, all that didn't just come to light at the end of the movie. That was all throughout.
His character arc started as a villain because he was someone who they talked about always wanting power and control.
That's
and
not
everything
villains.
else.
That's Tony Stark.
And I would argue that Tony Stark was the biggest villain of MCU.
You can argue that, but to the roots, the core, he is not the villain. He has never been the villain in any of these movies.
Thanos wasn't a villain. He had a good premise. Had a good idea. He wanted the universe to continue being strong.
But Thanos did kill half of the known population.
But so
that's
that
villainous.
the others could survive. That's heroic.
But the other no.
According to your logic,
No,
that is heroic.
It's not heroic because the other people in that time period were already surviving. So,
yeah, but it was the longevity of it.
Can you not agree though that the way that they wrote the story was leading people to believe that he was the bad guy or the villain?
That's what I said earlier. I said it was leading you all to believe that he was going to be the villain.
Right, but
he was not the villain.
And that's fine. That's fine. He was not the
He
villain.
was not the final villain, but there should have never have been
He was not the villain.
There never should have been an additional villain, is what I'm trying to say.
So, okay, regardless if they're your kids or not, if you think your wife is being held captive against her will, and you have the means to go get her out, and if the people who are keeping her there stand in your way and you say you're going to kill them, and your kids, regardless, say, "No, Dad, don't do this. We're going to stop you." You're going to be like, "Okay, I'm going to let you stop me." Or are you going to be like, "Somebody do something with these kids so I can go get my wife"?
But you're leaving out the parts of the movie where they kept telling them, one, that it wasn't his wife. If you're going to go that route, then let's go the full route. They kept telling him that's not the voices you're hearing.
How would they know? Why would they know?
Even when he got there.
Why would they know?
Got to the final destination of where the other dragon was, they told him, this is not your wife. You're being controlled. You're being manipulated. And you're still sitting there saying that was still him being in the right. It's not. that he was
I'm
manipulated.
not saying he was right. I'm saying he was not the villain.
No, he was absolutely.
If he was
the
being
villain.
manipulated by a third party,
he started off
to
the
think
movie
that
as
his wife was like there, that's not villainous.
He started as the villain. When they went through the 10 rings, they were talking about him being a villain. He had a moment of redemption. And he tried to be good, but like all things, right? His past caught up with him. They did kill his wife. And in that sense, I could understand him going through to get those individuals, which we know throughout the movie. He sent Shang-Chi to go do it. He took care of that, and he realized that wasn't the right way to go. His father then went back to saying the 10 rings was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do, and I should have done this all the time and just kept control. It's still it's
not villainous.
It is a villain. It is absolutely a villain thing to do.
So true or false?
False.
Okay, I'll ask you then. When he got to the village, there didn't have to be a fight.
Right. Well, there had to be because those people.
No. What I'm saying is he didn't get there and burn the place down immediately. Is what I'm saying.
No, but he said
he didn't do that. A villain would have just got there and just burned the whole forest down. Like he said, he was if they get in my way, I will burn them down. If they get in my way, I will burn them down. That is not villain talk.
Well, whatever words you want to use.
It's not villain talk.
Whatever words you want to use. I mean, I get what you're saying. He wasn't as hard. What's the word? Cold-blooded to literally just burn the place down. Yeah. But he had like a 30-second conversation when they said, no, you cannot. If you go over there, you're gonna let that thing out. And they were trying to explain to him. He didn't want to hear anything.
So he's a villain just because he didn't believe what some people were telling him.
And they said
that's what it's boiling down to at the end of the day. He's a villain because he didn't believe what these people were saying. The people he thought were keeping her captive.
Okay.
The people who had already made her leave.
Let's go that route.
Because they were together.
I'm going to go that route. Then let's talk about that. So he starts knocking it. Let's say you're right. I'm going to give you that point where you're right the entire time. When he starts hitting that and starts seeing these demon dragonfly things coming out, stealing people's souls.
I don't think he saw that.
You saw that.
I don't think he saw that.
But what I'm saying though is once that moment happens where you start seeing that, wouldn't you be like, no shit?
I think in the grand scheme of things, that did happen. But in the beginning,
not until the big ass dragon came out, though.
Right.
Then
I don't think he saw these individual things coming up from 200 feet, 400 feet in the air. He was at the ground level, just punching the wall. He didn't see that.
My thing is, and I feel like we're saying very similar things. Is my thing is that yes, at the end, I didn't see him as the villain. I understood. I felt more compassion for him once I understood. I don't know. I don't remember what happened, but something changed in that moment of I was like, this is really sad. Like he really, really thinks she's back there for real.
Yeah.
But leading up into that, I wouldn't use the word villain, but he was seen as the bad, like as a bad guy.
How about villainous acts? How about he committed villainous acts?
I don't think because I think that's the whole counter argument to what you're saying. A lot of the things that you're saying that he did that a villain would do, they weren't really that villainous. What I will say is, just go here. I think we got into a point where she specifically said at the end of the movie, no, I didn't feel like he was the villain.
No, she said she sympathized.
No, you said you didn't think he was the villain at the end of the movie.
Right. Well,
at the end of at
the end, I didn't see him as the villain anymore. My view changed, and I felt sad for him.
Right. So true or false though? All of these comic book movies, there's a main bad guy and there's a big fight at the end. If he's not the villain at the end of the movie, the very end of the movie, then who is the villain that they have to fight and defeat to save the world? It wasn't him.
Right. It was that big old dragon.
It was the big old dragon.
I'm laughing because when I went with my daughter, she goes, oh, good. The world seems to end like every 5 seconds with these movies. And that kind of is also the problem with Marvel.
Oh, there we go with those.
I am going to say that because it's always world-ending events in Marvel. Why can't we just have a story, the small story? Like even Spider-Man's story where it should be more of a ground level thing. Things that events happen to him. It's always about this world ending.
Why can't we just continue to have, good movies?
I would love to have good movies, period.
Well, I'm just saying, generally speaking,
But Marvel,
but generally speaking, Marvel has put out a lot of good movies. Consistently put out a lot of good movies. So why can't we just have good movies?
That have started to become very formulaic.
It doesn't matter. They're still good movies.
Actually, not all the time though. Not all the time.
I mean, come on. Generally speaking, Marvel movie is going to be a good movie. True or false? So why do we have to claim that there's a problem here? Because there's not.
I think we're getting to the point to where Marvel's neither. You're going to be. I'll be fair. I will be fair. DC's hot or cold. There is no middle ground with DC. You're not gonna really be like, okay. It's either gonna be like, Jesus, DC, what are you doing now? Or it's gonna be like, wow, you guys actually knocked one out of the park. Good for you. One out of whatever. Marvel's starting. I'm not saying they're there yet, and they can change. Marvel's starting to put out and produce these lukewarm.
But I think they've always done that. I think, unfortunately, some of the last few things that we've seen from Marvel, Shang-Chi is being compared to. You can't really compare it to Endgame. You got to compare it to Iron Man. You got to compare it to Black Panther.
I did compare it to Iron Man.
You got to compare it to Captain Marvel. If you look at all of those movies as a whole, I don't think, generally speaking, any of those movies are in anyone's top 5 Marvel Studio movies of all time.
No, probably not. You're probably looking at it.
So none of the origin stories, generally speaking, are in the top 5. So this is no different.
I have an exception.
This is no different.
I have one exception, and for me, that's Guardians. The first Guardians cracks my top 5 on Marvel.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different because it's not an individual origin story about one person. Like
you're right.
You get a whole.
You're right.
You get the whole thing. Yeah. So it's in a way, it's almost like you would compare that to the first Avengers movie. So kind of.
So let's talk about that though, right? With Shang-Chi being compared to Iron Man. Iron Man set the tone for the Infinity Saga. Shang-Chi was supposed to set this tone for whatever we're about to face next in their thing, but definitely the kickoff of Phase 4. That's according to Marvel. That's not me saying anything. That's Marvel saying
the
Shang-Chi's kicking this off.
The kickoff is different than saying this is setting the tone and the basis for the whole Phase 4.
But it's
just the first one.
But that is what they're saying.
It's just the first one.
That's not an opinion on mine. That is what they are saying. That is what they have said.
No, they said this kicks it off. That doesn't necessarily mean this sets the tone for the whole Phase 4. It's just kick off.
Iron Man kicked it off, but set the tone very clearly. It did set the tone clearly.
I don't think so, because I don't even think that, because they weren't even sure. If you go back and read reports, they weren't even sure that it was going to work.
That's right. You're absolutely right. But
so it didn't really set a particular tone. It was just the first one.
I just think that this one is it's definitely not the strongest origin movie by far.
No.
From this, and to what you just said, and Jason, I hope you're watching because I know I'm about to piss you off.
White Genesis,
which was an awesome line yesterday. I felt Captain Marvel was a stronger.
Captain Marvel, and again, I said this on y'all show in the chat, and since I was in the chat, y'all just laughed and thought I was telling jokes. Haha. Captain Marvel is the best origin movie ever made. Period. There is not one better.
I don't know about that.
There's not one better. I can even probably say, even bring in DC with that. It's better than all of the origin movies. There's not one that is better than that movie. Period.
Yeah,
even look at Batman Begins. That was horrible.
That one is going to be your opinion.
Which one's better?
On what?
What origin story movie is better?
Oh, I'm going to say Batman Begins. If you're asking me between those two, that's my take.
That movie was such a snooze fest. God.
Yeah, but like there was parts of
anybody who,
and I gotta watch CGI Samuel L. Jackson where some parts didn't look that great.
Oh my God, didn't look that great that one time.
If it takes me out of a movie, that's a problem.
I didn't really see anything that took me out of the movie. I'm trying
to agree with you here by saying it's better than Shang-Chi.
That's not saying anything.
But I'm also saying that it's not the best one out there. Is it up there? Yeah, I'll grant you that. I will grant you that. Is it the best one?
I mean, come on. For the 5 people out there who've never seen the Nolan Batman trilogy, am I saying that right? The 5 people who have not seen that trilogy, do not watch Batman Begins. Just start with the second one and then finish it off. You will thank me later. Like I'm not saying I'm not necessarily
go
saying
watch that first.
Don't. But I mean, so you're saying Aquaman's better than Captain Marvel?
I didn't say that.
I'm saying which one? Which one? I'm saying which one?
That?
You said it's not the best one. I'm asking you
I
which
don't even
one.
think you have to leave Marvel for that. I think Captain America was a better thing than Captain Marvel.
Bro, come on, bro.
No,
Back to this mess here. Don't nobody want to see that.
No,
Look, look at it.
Captain America, the first Avenger,
look at it.
was
look at it.
Was better than Captain Marvel.
When you talking about some bad CGI with that old skinny man talking about taking you out the movie.
Yeah, just take me out the movie.
So come on, man.
No, but I'm not going to sit there and say that Captain Marvel was the best origin movie. I'm not. I won't.
That's fine.
Because and I won't for one reason, and I'm going to stick just with Marvel because Iron Man was better to me than Captain Marvel.
No.
But why? Why are you saying that? What took you out of What took you out of Iron Man?
I didn't say anything. That's your line of taking me out of movies. Like it just. There are even certain things that Iron Man has a disadvantage on, unfortunately, that Captain Marvel has an advantage with. So just 2 basic things: graphics and a history or a previous storyline with characters that are in the movie. Like
because Iron Man was like first.
It was dope to see a young Samuel L. Jackson and what he was doing. Like that was dope. Like I'm sorry. In Iron Man, you didn't have that. You didn't have that experience of having that in there. And again, in the graphics. So you got 2 major things right there.
Now you're starting to rely on what came before to enjoy that.
No, I'm not talking about relying. I'm just saying it is better because of this. It was a better movie and a better experience because it had this. This didn't have that, and so it's not as good.
At the end of the day, to me, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. It was just okay.
It's all right.
So here's the I think here's where we might miss the mark. We're focusing on dragons and CGI. You're talking about CGI. CGI don't bother me like that. And if it's good, and this was good CGI.
It was.
So CGI doesn't necessarily bother me. There's going to be a humongous fan base out there who watch martial arts flicks. And they are going to lose their mind in this movie because not only do you get the martial arts, but you get
martial arts,
good martial arts, good choreography, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different styles of martial arts. You got your normal Tony Jaa stuff, but then you also got your Crouching Tiger stuff, which I didn't like, but I was like, okay, like it was done well, so okay, cool. But
it wasn't disrespectful. How's that?
Right, I didn't like it. But okay. So you got that, plus you have the great graphics on top of that. Like some of these flicks are low budget, even if they do have some kind of special effects, they're not great. So you have good choreography, different types of choreography, good fighting, good martial arts, and the good graphics on top of that when they incorporate the powers. So people who are just looking at it from that standpoint, who've been wanting a fighting movie, they don't like Terrence being one of them. They don't like the Iron Man laser beam type of stuff. They want fighting. They want to see the Hulk smash more. They are going to love this movie just for that. And they will be able to give a pass for some of this other crap that was in the movie.
The other argument that I had, and I had it with Jason last night after I watched it, was
White Genesis.
We got to get a drop for White Genesis from now. But the other problem I had with it is the forced comedy. There was definitely some forced comedy.
I don't think it was forced. I just think it just didn't land. Like
maybe that's a good point.
Because all of these movies got the comedy in it nowadays, and it just didn't land. It just wasn't funny. It wasn't the pockets.
The pockets.
It wasn't the pockets.
I mean, to be fair, yeah. And why did that land? The same reason why the Trevor stuff towards the end kind of landed.
I liked Ben Kingsley.
Because the reason why I'm going to say it landed better than Water Girl is because he totally believed it himself.
Let me use Trevor as an example then. because we just had to talk about Iron Man. I'm not saying that this is a good movie, but how much better did Ben Kingsley make this movie? And just imagine if he just wasn't there because it was the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
So you didn't have this reference of the Mandarin who actually looked like a Taliban leader, but whatever, back in Iron Man 3. If you didn't have it, it made, again, not saying this is a good movie. It just made the movie that much better to have this character in there that you can reference, and it was just like, okay, that's a cool moment.
Yeah, but
that's a cool moment to see him in it, and it gives you some bonus points.
It is a cool moment, but if I'm taking the origin story at a origin story where
I'm taking it as the movie,
that's problematic. But
I'm taking it as the movie.
Seeing Ben Kingsley back in this role, to your point, and seeing him, to me, all that stuff landed. The jokes with Awkwafina trying to do that. Katie, right? I think that was her name. Katie in the movie was just not. I wasn't sold on what she was doing. She took me out of the movie. After they had done a great job of getting me in with this background story, she kind of took me out for a little bit. And then once they stopped kind of letting her do her comedic bit, because as a comedian, kind of like her. I kind of like her.
Yeah.
But as a comedian in this, when they stopped letting her saying, okay, now we got to get serious, she fit the film better. And the film flowed better they took out that comedy.
The film flowed better, but she didn't really fit the film better. Like her coming in.
And she wasn't needed in the third act.
I don't think she was needed in the whole movie.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I did like about her at the end was at least it wasn't some white person coming in to save the day. That was the only thing. She came in and saved the day. It was completely ridiculous that she would be able to do that because
after half a day of shooting an arrow.
I was hoping that, again, I'm not familiar with this series. I was hoping that maybe she has some powers that we don't know about, and I was like, they're gonna figure this out, right? They're gonna make her tap into some. Oh no, you just regular old chick.
How she became Hawkeye in a 4-hour span?
One shot.
The only line that I liked of hers that it made me kind of chuckle was that one I was saying earlier. Your name was Shang, and you changed it to Shang. I don't know. That was funny.
And you
to
know
me.
why? Because it felt like it was written naturally.
Yeah.
It came off as a natural. It wasn't her trying to be funny. She was like, "What the hell were you thinking? Like, why did that make sense to you?"
Right.
It felt natural, and so that did land. Right. Like to that point.
I would have just liked it if she was left at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going with you on the airplane. And then like the very next scene, he's all by himself, and she's leaving a message. Why did you leave? And then that's it.
Yeah.
But like that whole point at the end, like I would expect it if it was the aunt who took that shot. I would expect it if it was the one of the elders that took the shot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if for anyone who's ever done archery, you do not get, I don't care how magical that bow is, you're not going to send an arrow that far after 4 hours.
That accurate.
Right.
And that accurate. That's right. If you wanted to throw in a line, I would have even appreciated a line at the end where she was like, did you see that shot I did? And someone coming behind her, yeah, because it's dragon scales and they're magical. They knew to go there.
Or no, it was like, yeah, I saw the shot. It was the one that the guy shot from behind you.
Yeah,
right. That wasn't even yours.
Like you thought it was yours, but then when you really paying back, you see that someone else took the shot.
Yeah, you see that, and because it wasn't going to do that, and so again, it's those little. It could have been so much better, and I know that there's a lot of movies I could sit there and say that it could have been so much better, but this one it showed. This is one of those movies that showed so much potential to me, and I was wanting it to just land. I wanted it to stick the landing. Even after the comedy, I was able to get past that, just stick the landing, and I don't think they stuck it.
So the other problem, I know we need to wrap up soon. We don't have to do anything because we can do whatever we want. But we probably should wrap soon. But the other major problem with the movie, and I said we would get to it, is the acting. This had a huge Black Panther feel to me. When you had a bunch of lower tier actors in there with some higher tier actors, and it showed. I mean, you can't put Awkwafina in next to Ben Kingsley like that. It just doesn't work.
Notice the lines were kept minimum between the two.
Yeah, Michelle Yao. How you pronounce her name? I mean, she and the dad, all three of them just kind of out acted everyone.
Yeah.
And then you had some really bad actors, like the guy, like the what was his name with the one arm,
Oh yeah,
Whatever.
razor hand.
razor.
raise your hand.
I mean, he just was.
He felt out of place.
He was way out of place, and just from a character perspective and from an acting perspective, and that's when I say we can't say that the lead guy was great in the movie, because there were some scenes where he got out acted as well.
How about this? He's got potential.
Yeah.
He showed a lot of potential. To your point, I am looking forward to seeing what he's gonna do.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited about the character, like the character with his powers and what he can do and how he can help whatever Avengers that assemble.
Oh,
like,
and let me take a 5-second side note. What the hell is Wong's purpose in that movie? Not the end credit, because I thought the end credit was perfectly set up. There's no reason to him to be in that other than for Marvel to sit there and say, "Look, we have another Asian guy that we had before this movie." That was his only reason.
but
made
see,
no sense.
But
in
I think
movie.
that was less Marvel and more the director of the movie.
Fair enough, but in no place like his at the very end, and then at the end credit scene or the mid credit scene made 100% sense. I enjoyed seeing it. It was there, but during the movie,
The fighting.
there
or
was
whatever.
no need for him at all. None.
There might not have been a need for it. It didn't bother me though. Like it was just like, okay, like this is, I can see this happening. This is kind of, and it's cool. It's cool to see him, and it's cool to see his doing his work. And it's just yet another Doctor Strange. Is Doctor Strange going to be Captain America? Not being Captain America, but
Was that leader role?
Is he going to be the leader role? Because everything is tying into Strange. Touches Strange. Even What If.
Oh yeah. Well, especially What If.
You got What If touching Strange. You got Wong in here. You got Spider-Man
from
coming in.
WandaVision, Loki. Everything's tying into
Strange.
To me, that universe of the multi-universe, whatever, the universe of madness, seems to be like their first mini Avenger movie.
Right.
Like that's really what it feels like it's playing up to.
Yeah. So that's just what I see.
Maybe that's the Avengers. And
even
4.5.
Even if you want to go back, he was a big piece of Endgame.
Yeah.
Like obviously you had Iron Man doing what he did, but
yeah, it's all based off of what he set up. Yep.
So he's I feel like he's more of that character than what people try to portray Captain Marvel as, because a lot of people didn't like that she was just gonna come in at the end and save the day, right, and be powerful and stronger than everyone else, because she kind of was, right, but really it was him setting up stuff and saving the day and bringing in everybody and
pulling the strings.
Yeah. So,
just I'd kind of like to see him as a
Wong.
No, Strange.
Oh, okay.
Villain Wong. I kind of want to see some more.
You're wrong, Wong.
I want to see some more Mandarin though. Like
Ben Kingsley style, or are you talking about the
actual
daughter?
Mandarin?
The leader of the Ten Rings is in the daughter?
No, the short hair Mandarin that died at the end of the movie. Oh.
Spoiler alert.
The father.
Yes, he is the Mandarin.
He wasn't the orange, as he so politely put it.
Him and his 10 rings.
Oh no, I don't know what he.
Anyway, so generally speaking, the movie was okay.
Thank God all 10 were actually on the arms, because if there was one missing and they still called it the 10 rings, I would have been like, hey.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I never did really count them. So
I didn't either.
I did actually.
Okay.
5 on each.
So anyway, just an okay movie. Not great.
Okay movie.
I think for certain audiences, this will be a fantastic movie.
I'll watch it again. I will.
No, I'll never watch this movie again. If you like dragons, this is for you. If you like martial arts, this is for you.
This is what I told you.
If you're a casual Marvel fan, I'm not sure you're gonna like it too much.
This is what I said last night. Like, am I gonna get the Blu-ray? Yeah. Am I gonna go spring for that steel case? No.
I don't even think I'm getting the Blu-ray.
No, we're not getting the Blu-ray.
No.
At this point, again, that becomes the collector in me, just because I've got everything else.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So that's just me not wanting. to lose.
Right. I feel like we're missing something, but like I said, we're running out of hour 30 now. So
I don't think we're missing anything on the movie. I mean, I think we've pretty much said our piece. You know, you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna get out of there upset with the movie. I think you may go out with a little disappointment.
I mean, there was just points in the movie where I was hoping that it was going to be over soon.
Oh yes, I was checking my watch.
So that's how you know it's just like
I checked my watch.
Yeah. I didn't check my watch, but I was getting notifications for Funko Pops, so I just happened to see my watch. But yeah, it was just parts of the movie where I wish it was will hurry up.
All I can say is after that we watched Free Guy right after. That was an enjoyable movie. Predictable. Like, do not get me wrong, very predictable. Shut your brain off, Mark.
I can't do that.
Shut it off. Shut it down.
You can't do that.
But if you're not, again, it was stupid, happy fun. And for some reason, that felt stronger than watching totally different.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't actually come out, I'm disappointed in that industry.
Shang-Chi. And then it said the 10 rings will return at the end.
And again, that would have to have his sister take over from the father to continue that villainous act. It would have made.
I didn't see a whole bunch of villainous acts, but okay. So, I mean, he had the fake Mandarin locked up. What kind of villain locks up the other villain? What are you talking about? Anyway,
A true villain.
I don't remember how we do this ending, so I'm gonna change the scene about that, and then yeah, I think there's something I'm supposed to say here. I don't remember. It's been too long. Oh, how about we just do this? Back My Nerves. Look them up on Facebook. They do a
YouTube.
show every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, which
next show is going to be on the 18th of September.
You guys may want to pay attention to that one. I will not be on that show. Sean will not be on that show. Jason will be on that show with a couple of special guests, I'm sure. So that is going to happen. Pointing in that direction. I'm just saying. It's going to be fun to see. But no, yeah. So we're on every other Saturday, unless we say otherwise. YouTube, Facebook. More importantly, she knock out the ANX version TV.
That's her part.
Oh man, am I stealing that from you?
No, it's okay.
Kind of is, but she can go ahead and go now.
I will say, don't forget, if you don't have all the systems, shut your cake hole.
Shut your mouth.
Just stop talking about it.
That's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening to ANX Gamecast. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we release new episodes. See you next week.
Ruben.
Deuces.